Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at laws of indices. The power in which a number is raised is called an index. The power to which a number is raised is called an index. And this is called a base. So in this example here, 5 is the base and 3 is the index. That is also known as power. If you have more than one index, then they will not be called indexes, they will be called indices. So I want us to look at the laws of indices one by one. And law number 1 will be multiplication of indices. In this law, if you are multiplying indices, let's say you are multiplying a raised to power m times a raised to power n. Provided that the bases are the same, then to get the answer, you will take m plus n. You will add the powers. So that one will be a raised to power m plus n. That one will be your answer. Let's look at a case example of this. If you are given 7 raised to power 10 times 7 raised to power 3, then the answer will be 7 raised to power 10 plus 3. That will be 7 raised to power 13. That is the first law. The second law will be on division of indices. For example, if you're given a raised to power m divided by a raised to power n, then you will subtract the indices. That will mean that your answer will be a m minus n. For example, if you have 4 raised to power 3 divided by 4 raised to power 2, then your answer will be 4 raised to power 3 minus 2. That will be 4 raised to power 1. And you know that 4 raised to power 1, any number raised to power 1 will be that number. Okay. Let us look at the third law of indices. The third law of indices is the law of brackets. If you're given a raised to power 3 squared, a raised to power 3 squared, this one will mean that you're taking a raised to power 3 times a raised to power 3. You know that when you are squaring something, you are multiplying that number by itself, because the square here will mean that you are multiplying that number by itself once. Okay? Now, if you have a raised to power 3, you'll have a raised to power 3 times a raised to power 3. So if you add the indices here, you'll find 3 plus 3 is 6. So the answer will be a raised to power 6. That one will be the same as you taking 3 and multiplying by 2. So if you're given a raised to power 3 squared, you'll take 3 multiplied by 2. And that one you'll get a raised to power 6. So the fourth law of indices will be a zero power or a zero index. If you find you are given a raised to power 0, then that will be 1. Any number raised to power 0 is 1. Be it 1000 raised to power 0, that one will be 1. 1 raised to power 0 is 1. 2 raised to power 0 is 1. That is according to the laws of indices. Law number 5, any number raised to power 1 will be that number. Any number raised to power 1 will be that number, will be itself. If you raise itself to power 1, you'll get itself. If you raise, for example, 5 raised to power 1, you will get 5. 8 raised to power 1, 8. 9 raised to power 1, 9. Let's look at number 6. So number 6, we look at negative index. A negative index, a raised to power negative 1. This one will be equal to the reciprocal of a raised to power 1. The reciprocal of a raised to power 1. You know the reciprocal of a raised to power 1 will be 1 all over a raised to power 1. So a raised to power negative 1 will be the same as 1 all over a raised to power 1. Any number raised to power negative, if you look at 8 raised to power negative 2, this one will be the same as 1 all over 8 raised to power 2. That means you are taking 8 raised to power 2. You are getting the reciprocal of 8 raised to power 2. Okay? So if you have 8 raised to power negative 2, then that one will be equal to 1 all over 8 raised to power 2. That is a law number 6. Law number 7 is on fractional indices. So if you have, for example, a raised to power a all over 1 all over n, a raised to power 1 all over n, then this one will form the root. Okay, the denominator of the power. The denominator of the power will form the root. So this one will be same as the nth root of a. For example, if we have a maybe raised to power a half, then that one will be the square root of a. And if we have a raised to power 3 all over 2, then this denominator here will form the root, and this one will form the index. Okay, like now this one will mean that you'll take the square root of a, then you raise to power 3. This means the same as that. So let us look at rule number 8. Rule number 8. Rule number 8. Rule number 8 now will be on still on fractional indices. Still on fractional indices. Like if you have a raised to power n is equal to b, this one means that a is the nth root of b. A is the nth root of b. So that means that if you want to get a, like if you have a raised to power n, if you want to get a, then a is equal to the nth root of b. And if you have a raised to power 1 all over n bracket m, a fraction power raised to power another index, then you will just multiply. We say that this one just multiply. Okay, like 1 all over n you multiply by m. and if you multiply them, you'll get 1a in brackets a raised to power 1 all over n times m. You know, if we are multiplying like this, all numbers are assumed to be having a denominator of 1. So if you have this one will be the same as a. You take 1 times m, you'll get m. Then you take n, you take a 1 times m, you get m. You take n times 1, you get n. So this one will be equal to this. And in other laws, when we were discussing, we said that this will be equal to nth root of a raised to power m. Rule number 9. If you have a, b, bracket raised to power n, this one will be equal to a raised to power n times b raised to power n. Also, if you have a divided by b, bracket raised to power n, this one will mean that a raised to power n divided by b raised to power n. Remember that this law does not apply if there is addition sign in between. This law will not apply if there is addition sign in between. Like if you have a plus b raised to power n, this one is not equal to a raised to power n plus b raised to power n. This is this one you cannot be equal to this, so this one you cannot apply this here. So let's look at rule number 10. In rule number 10, if you have a negative number, bracket raised to power m, which is power or index, if m is even, if this m here is even, then the answer will be 2 raised to power m. Let's look at an example here. Like, let's say you have negative 2 raised to power 2. You know, negative 2 raised to power 2 will mean that you take negative 2, you multiply by negative 2. That means that this negative sign will go, and you'll be left with the 2 times 2, which will be 4. And you know 4 is equivalent to 2 raised to power 2. So that is why I say that if you have a negative number raised to power an even index, then that negative will go and you will be left with this. That one will not be the same. It will not go if the index is even is an odd number. Like if you have negative a raised to power m, where m is odd, it will just remain negative a raised to power m, because this negative here will not go if this m here is an odd number. So let us look at a few examples. In these cases, let's look at a few examples, like examples that we can solve here. Let's look at this. If you're given 2 raised to power x is equal to 2 raised to power 12. If the base is equal, then the power must also be equal. That is also a rule, okay? If you have a is equal to a raised to power x is equal to a raised to power m, then this x will be equal to m. Let us look at examples, a few examples. So now you can apply the laws of indices that we've learned. In this example 1, you are given 6 all over 7 bracket negative raised to power negative 2 times 7 all over 6 bracket raised to power negative 2. So in law number 6 that I gave you, we said that if you have a negative power, then you can change this to reciprocal to get rid of the negative. So this 6 all over 7 raised to power negative 2 will be equal to 7 all over 6 raised to power 2. So that one will be 7 all over 6 raised to power 2 times 7 all over 6 raised to power negative 2. So in this, there's the second case, you're not going to eliminate the negative because we want our base to be the same. So we want our base to remain 7 all over 6. Now, in law number 1, we said that when you have the same base and you're multiplying, then you'll just add the indices. So in this case, this will be equal to 7 all over 6. 7 all over 6, sorry for that, 7 all over 6 raised to power 2 plus negative 2. And you know, if there is this addition and a positive sign and a negative sign like this, then it will definitely change to a negative. So the answer here will be 7 all over 6 raised to power 7 all over 6 raised to power 2 minus 2. And you know 2 minus 2 will be 0. So this one will be 7 all over 6 raised to power 0. And we said also in law number 4 that I gave you that if you have 7 all over 6 raised to power 0, then that one will be, the answer will be 1, because any number raised to power 0 is 1. So that the answer to this question here is 1. So the solution to this problem is 1. So you can go back or maybe try to pause the video and try to do it if you will still get the same answer. So let's look at example 2 here. Example 2. In this example 2, we are going to write this one in fraction form. So that one will be 4 all over 100 raised to power negative 1 all over, this is 1 all over 2, I mean this 1 all over 2. So this one there, we'll change this one here into improper fraction. That one will give us this. To change this into improper fraction, we'll have 3 all over 2. That's still a negative. So this is 4 all over 100 raised to power negative 3 all over 2. This one will be equal to the reciprocal of this. Then you eliminate the negative. That one will be 100 all over 4 raised to power 3 all over 2. Now the negative is gone. So once you've done that, we've said also in one of the laws that 100 here, this one will be 100 raised to power 3 all over 2 all over 4 raised to power 3 all over 2. This one will be equal to root of 100 cubed all over root of 4 cubed. What is root of let me use this space here. Just get a new one. Now let us use. So let me just use this space here. Root of 100 is 10. So 10 raised to power 3. Root of 4 is 2. 2 raised to power 3. So 10 raised to power 3 will be equal to 1000, and 2 raised to power 3 is going to be equal to 8. So this is going to be the answer. You can write it in its simplest form. So the answer here, this one here, will be equal to 125. So the answer to this, for this question, the answer to this question here is 125.